Have you noticed your monthly income shrinking recently? A question that seems to resonate with many of us today. It's like a scene from a mystery novel, where we play the role of the puzzled protagonist, trying to figure out why our monthly income, once a comfortable safety net, now feels like a tightrope. Let's use a tangible example to illustrate this phenomenon. Picture this. You walk into your local grocery store, list in hand. You stroll down the aisles, picking up your usual items, bread, milk, eggs. But when you get to the checkout counter, there's a moment of surprise, maybe even a slight shock. The total on the screen is higher than what you're used to. You shake your head, pay, and leave, a little more worried than when you walked in. This is no isolated incident. It's a scene that's being replayed across households, across cities, and across countries. The price tags on our daily necessities, groceries, toiletries, even cosmetics, have all been quietly creeping up. But here's the twist in our mystery. While the prices have been rising, our monthly income has not been keeping pace. Think about it. When was the last time you had a significant pay raise? For many of us, our wages have remained stagnant, even as the cost of living continues to climb. This is not just a personal challenge, it's a societal issue. The shrinking income is a symptom of a larger economic condition, a sign that something, somewhere, is out of balance. We're all in the same boat, trying to stretch our income further, trying to make ends meet in a world where the ends seem to be moving further apart. So if you're wondering why your monthly income doesn't seem to stretch as far as it used to, you're not alone. The rising prices are a reality we all are grappling with. To understand why your paycheck doesn't go as far, we need to delve into the economics of rising prices. First, let's start with inflation. Inflation is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. It's a natural part of a growing economy. As more people have more money to spend, the demand for goods and services increases. This increase in demand can lead to higher prices, as businesses know they can charge more and still sell their products. Next up, supply and demand. This is an economic model of price determination in a market. It postulates that in a competitive market, the unit price for a particular good or service will vary until it settles at a point where the quantity demanded by consumers will equal the quantity supplied by producers, resulting in an economic equilibrium for price and quantity. When demand for a product or service exceeds its supply, prices rise. On the other hand, if supply is greater than demand, prices tend to drop. Then, let's consider the cost of production. This is the total price of all the resources used in producing a good or service. These resources include raw materials, labor, and manufacturing costs. When these costs increase, producers often pass the extra costs on to consumers in the form of higher prices. For example, if the price of steel increases, a car manufacturer may need to increase the price of its vehicles to maintain its profit margins. Finally, let's not forget about market power. Some companies have the ability to set their own prices. When a single company or a small number of companies control a large portion of the market, they can increase prices without fear of losing customers to competitors. This is often seen in markets with high barriers to entry, or where one company has a patent or trademark that prevents others from competing directly. So, rising prices are due to a combination of economic factors, it's not just your imagination. But why aren't our wages keeping up with these rising prices? This question takes us to the heart of the issue: stagnant wages. Over the past few decades, we've seen a significant shift in many industries that has contributed to this stagnation. One of the major culprits is automation. As technology advances, machines and software are increasingly taking over tasks that were once performed by human hands. It's a double-edged sword. On one side, automation boosts productivity and efficiency, but on the flip side, it reduces the need for human labor, thereby putting a downward pressure on wages. Another factor is outsourcing. With the rise of globalization, many companies have been able to outsource jobs to countries where labor is cheaper. This has led to job losses in higher wage countries and has put a lid on wage growth. Then, there's the declining power of labor unions. Once upon a time, unions were a significant force in negotiating higher wages and better working conditions. However, their influence has waned over the years. Today, less than 1 in 10 private sector workers is a member of a union. This decline has left workers with less bargaining power, which in turn has contributed to wage stagnation. These factors are not just theories, they're backed by hard data. For example, research by the Economic Policy Institute has found that between the late 70s and the early 10s, productivity in the United States economy grew by over 70%, but the wages of the typical worker grew by just under 10%. As we can see, our wages are stuck in a rut while prices continue to climb, creating a financial squeeze. This wage price squeeze is a critical issue that affects not just individuals and families, but also the broader economy. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are potential solutions on the horizon, but we'll delve into those in the next scene. What does this all mean for the economy? Well, in simple terms, it's not good news. When prices rise and wages stagnate, the purchasing power of the average consumer decreases. This is because the money they earn doesn't go as far as it once did. It's like running on a treadmill. You're working hard, but you're not moving forward. This decrease in purchasing power impacts the economy in several ways. Firstly, it reduces consumer spending, which is a key driver of economic growth. When people have less money to spend, businesses see a decrease in sales, which can lead to layoffs, reduced profits, and even business closures. This can create a vicious cycle, as job losses further reduce consumer spending. Secondly, when people can't afford the goods and services they need or want, they often turn to credit to fill the gap. This leads to an increase in household debt, which can pose significant risks to the economy. High levels of debt can lead to financial instability, as people struggle to make their repayments. If a large number of people default on their debts, it can trigger a financial crisis. Finally, rising prices and stagnant wages can exacerbate the wealth gap. Those with higher incomes and wealth can better absorb the impact of rising prices, while those on lower incomes struggle. This can lead to increasing social and economic inequality, which can have significant long-term impacts on the economy and society. In the grand scheme of things, an economy thrives when its people thrive. When a significant portion of the population is struggling financially, it can lead to social unrest, decreased productivity, and slow economic growth. These are all symptoms of an unhealthy economy. So, as you can see, the combination of rising prices and stagnant wages is more than just a personal issue. It's a systemic problem that can erode the foundations of our economy. It's like a termite infestation. You may not notice the damage until it's too late. The combination of rising prices and stagnant wages is a recipe for economic instability. So, is there a way out of this financial squeeze? Yes, indeed. There are multiple potential solutions that can help to alleviate this economic challenge. Firstly, raising the minimum wage. It's no secret that the cost of living is increasing, yet wages have remained stagnant. Consequently, it's crucial that workers earn a living wage, one that can support their basic needs and keep pace with inflation. A higher minimum wage could potentially stimulate economic growth, as workers would have more disposable income to spend, thus driving demand for goods and services. Secondly, investing in education and training. By equipping individuals with the skills and knowledge required for higher-paying jobs, we can boost earning potential and productivity. This includes not just formal education, but also vocational training and lifelong learning opportunities. In a world that's rapidly changing due to technological advancements, continuous learning is essential to keep up and stay competitive. Thirdly, strengthening labor unions could be another effective approach. Unions have historically played a key role in advocating for better wages and working conditions. A stronger union presence can help workers negotiate for fair compensation and ensure that their interests are well represented. Additionally, we should consider implementing policies that support economic diversification. By encouraging a wide range of industries and sectors, we can foster a more resilient economy that's less susceptible to shocks and downturns. This means promoting innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainable practices. Last but not least, it's important to address income inequality. This could involve progressive taxation, where those with higher incomes pay a larger percentage of their earnings in taxes. The revenue collected could then be used to fund social programs and public services that benefit everyone, especially the most vulnerable. With the right policies and actions, we can counter the effects of rising prices and stagnant wages, ensuring a better financial future for all. It won't be an easy task, and it requires the collective effort of policymakers, businesses, and individuals alike. But with determination and a commitment to economic justice, it is a challenge we can overcome.